I made an AMA on the addictive brain on March 3rd, and it's about an hour of recording. So I wanted to do my additional own video out of this. So I, in parallel, recorded it myself. And now I was about to do all the editing, and I realized, as it is, if you do something live, the explanations aren't always the best. And so what I wanted to do was add some commentary and add some illustrations so that the things become more clear. So I decided to take these 50 minutes or so of raw explanations and cut them into 4 videos. The first one is this one, and what I'll explain in that video is basically my biography. So it's my introduction, and it's at the same time it serves as a preview on the 3 upcoming videos, which will be on my undergraduate study, my graduate study, my PhD, and my first postdoctoral study. So I hope you enjoy the videos. See you later. My name is Dennis. I'm German. I'm a neuroscientist. Um, and I have been doing neuroscience for about 13 years now, which includes my undergrad thesis. And I did my undergraduate study in Cologne, which is in Germany. And it was on alternating courtship calls in firebelly frogs, which was a fun project, to be honest. I got a degree that is not in existence anymore. It was before the European Union made the bachelor and master system available across Europe. So I did what's called a diplom in Germany, and I did that degree. I got that degree in biology, and my main subject was animal physiology, and I also was examined on biochemistry and developmental biology. And I also did a genetics course that, if I had completed it, meaning if I went to the tests, I could have become a major in genetics too. But then I decided not to. And then I went on to do a PhD in Bielefeld, which is also in Germany, with my PhD advisor Hans-Joachim Bischoff and a co-advisor Martin Egelhaf, and that was on optic flow in zebrafinches. And you heard that right, it's zebrafinch, not zebrafish. That seems to confuse a lot of people, but it's a bird, it's not a fish. And yeah, zebrafish finches use optic flow for depth perception. So the way images of objects move across the retina at a given speed and direction tells you how far away they are, gives you some sort of depth sense. How many years I spent in school? More than I could have. So the diploma degree was supposed to be about 6 years, and I think I took 7. But that's obviously different from today, where you do a bachelor's degree and a master's degree before you join a PhD, or at least that's how it is in Europe. I'm aware that in the United States, you can start a PhD with a bachelor's degree. So yeah, from my PhD, I went on to do a postdoc in Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in the United States. It's on Long Island, if you don't know it. It's become infamous by the racist remarks and misogynist remarks of Watson, who has been the director of that place for a long time. That's Watson from Watson and Crick. And what I did there was working again on behavior and underlying neuroscience, and the topic was olfactory learning. So we know that olfactory learning plays a role in mate choice in mice. So that was quite interesting. And we also knew from the literature that noradrenaline plays a role. Noradrenaline is a so-called neuromodulator. So it's released from central area in the brain, and it goes into almost all other brain areas, and then it does things like increasing the ability of the neurons to change. So it increases neuroplasticity, as we say, and that allows the animals to learn. And we looked at that in a physiological study, imaging calcium signals in the so-called olfactory bulbs, which is the first stage where the information from the nose comes into the brain. So that was very interesting. Then I moved back to Europe. I'm now in Portugal, and I did 3 years of postdoc here, working on still again on mice, this time running in mice and how the cerebellum coordinates limb movements in this context. I didn't get far with that study because I was working mostly on methods. The lab has its own tracking system that uses a video or machine vision to track the limbs of a mouse on a treadmill. And I've been working on that part. And I've also worked on a new setup that was supposed to, or it did in the end. So it was integrating the lab's system of recording mouse movements on a treadmill and video recording that together with optogenetic stimulation, which means the mouse is genetically altered in a way, either by viruses or by breeding, to have neurons in the area that you're interested in respond to light. So if you put a little glass fiber into the brain in the right position, then you can make these neurons fire, or you can inhibit these neurons. So that's optogenetics. And you can do that in the awake running around mouse. And on top of that, I was doing electrophysiology, which means you put in electrodes into the brain, and then you can record the electrical activity of the neurons also while they're running. So yeah, that was my project as a postdoc in Portugal. And last year in August, I quit. And since then, I've been mostly doing whatever I want. I'm taking a year off, or well, it was supposed to be a year. It might not end up being a year. Living off my savings. I'm in Lisbon, in the capital of Portugal. I started doing science advocacy with the March for Science, which was in 2017. And the thing was that, so we were a small team getting together, trying to make this work in Portugal. And yeah, that was a fun experience. And I think there was a lot of science advocacy energy built up, at least in me. So after the march, actually, so the team disbanded, and there was, so I wanted to continue with science advocacy, but I was the only one from the team who wanted to do that. So I started my own project called Science for Progress, and I've been working on that since. And since I left my postdoc, I've been doing that most of the time. I have a podcast for that, and we are running a rotating curation account on Twitter, where every week you have a different person talking about things related to scientific progressivism in a broader sense. And finally, I am trying to build up a freelance career. I am I really like to do scientific editing. I like editing manuscripts or grant applications, these kind of things. So I'm available for that. I'd like to do neuroscience consulting, and I really need to find clients right now. So that's that. And finally, in that context, I'm making videos for YouTube, and I also publish them on Facebook about scholarship. Um, I just finished the first one, and it was published on Thursday. How hard is it to find a science job here in Portugal? PhD, probably. Okay. Still in the last year of high school. Ah, okay. So then you have time. So for you, things may change. I hear that the Portuguese government has pretty ambitious plans to increase science in Portugal. If they do what I hear they want to do, it's significant. So by the time you get out of undergrad, you might be that this might be a very different situation. So my science focused on behavior and physiology, and early on it was for me more about the animals, and what the animals can do and how the physiology supports the behavior of the animal. It was not so much about the translation to, for example, medicine or something. I do think that that's a good cause. And if the work that I do would have translated to medical purposes, that's great. But I'm more of a fundamental biology guy. And the second thing that interested me is methods and how you can apply them to reach your goals in science research. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget, my name is Dennis Eckmeyer. Subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Have a nice day. Bye bye.